Let me ask you something. How many of you have ever looked back on your life and thought, why did I waste so much time worrying about things that didn't even matter? See, after 60, something powerful happens. You start to see through the noise. The rules you used to live by, half of them never made sense in the first place. The fears that held you back, completely useless. And today we're going to break it all down, because once you realize what doesn't make sense anymore, you unlock something incredible, freedom. And when you've got that, nothing can stop you. Let's go. Time doesn't run out the way people think it does. What runs out is our illusion of control over it. For most of our lives, we believe we have all the time in the world. We say, I'll do that later, or there's still time for that. But at some point, whether it's 60, 70, or beyond, we realize that time was never something we had. It was something we were borrowing. And that shift in perspective changes everything. When you're younger, time feels abundant. You push dreams aside, thinking you'll get to them eventually. You delay adventures, telling yourself you'll take that trip, write that book, or start that business one day. But when you reach a certain age, that one day suddenly seems a lot closer. You start thinking, if not now, when? And that question can either terrify you or set you free. The reality is, time was never meant to be controlled, it was meant to be used. The most successful and fulfilled people aren't the ones who try to hold on to time, they're the ones who maximize it. They wake up every day with urgency, not because they're afraid, but because they understand. They know that every sunrise is a gift, and every moment is an opportunity. They don't waste time on things that don't serve them. They don't wait for permission to live. They act, they move, they create. One of the biggest myths people carry is the idea that it's too late to do something. Too late to start over, too late to learn, too late to build something new. But that's an illusion. Time itself doesn't stop you. Your beliefs do. History proves this over and over again. Ray Kroc was over 50 when he turned McDonald's into a global empire. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when KFC took off. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first Little House on the Prairie book until she was 65. Time didn't stop them because they refused to let it define them. The only real tragedy in life isn't running out of time. It's looking back and realizing you never really lived while you had it. The saddest regret people have isn't failing at something, it's never trying. And yet, so many people still sit on the sidelines, afraid to start, afraid of what people will think, afraid that their best years are gone. But here's the truth, the best time to do something is always right now. If you feel like time is slipping away, ask yourself, what am I waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to tell you it's okay? Are you waiting for the perfect moment? Because if you are, let me tell you this, there is no perfect moment. There is only now. The people who truly live don't waste time obsessing over the past or worrying about the future. They focus on what they can do today. They move with intention. They love fully. They take action. They don't let fear slow them down. Because in the end, time is not something you manage, it's something you use. The question is, are you using it wisely? For most of our lives, we are conditioned to chase perfection. We are told to get the perfect job, find the perfect partner, live in the perfect house, and have the perfect body. We are led to believe that the more flawless we appear, the more successful and happy we will be. But after 60, something shifts. You begin to see perfection for what it really is, an illusion. A moving target that keeps you running, but never lets you arrive. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back because something wasn't good enough? How many moments have you missed because you were too worried about how you looked, how others perceived you, or whether you measured up to an impossible standard? The pursuit of perfection is a trap, and it steals your time, your confidence, and your ability to enjoy the present moment. At 60, you start to realize that the things you once obsessed over don't really matter. That extra 10 pounds, it didn't stop you from loving or being loved. The mistakes you made, they didn't define you, they taught you. The things you thought you needed to be perfect, they were never the source of your happiness to begin with. What matters instead is authenticity. The most powerful people aren't perfect, they are real. They embrace their flaws, own their past, and show up fully as themselves. They don't filter their words to please others. They don't waste time pretending to be something they're not. They live with freedom because they understand that true happiness doesn't come from perfection. It comes from self-acceptance. Look around at the people you admire the most. Are they perfect? No. But they are courageous. They take risks. They show up. They laugh loudly, love deeply, and don't let fear control them. That is what life is about, not trying to be perfect, but daring to be real. And the moment you let go of the need for perfection, everything changes. You stop waiting, you stop doubting, you start creating, moving, and living. You realize that the wrinkles on your face are not flaws. They are proof that you have lived. The scars you carry are not imperfections. They are reminders of battles you have won. The mistakes you have made are not regrets. They are lessons that made you wiser. So the question is, what will you do with this wisdom? Will you keep chasing something that doesn't exist? Or will you finally give yourself permission to live? Because when you let go of the need to be perfect, you gain something far greater: freedom. Freedom to enjoy the moment without fear. Freedom to pursue what excites you without hesitation. Freedom to wake up every day knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are. So stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect body, the perfect circumstances. They will never come. Instead, start living now. Speak your truth. Take the trip, write the book, learn the skill, make the move, love without fear, show up as the real you, because in the end, perfection was never the goal. Living fully. One of the biggest lies society tells us is that there's a deadline on dreams, that at a certain age, you've either made it or you haven't, that if you haven't achieved something by 30, 40, or 50, then you might as well give up. But the truth is, the idea of too late is one of the most damaging beliefs a person can have. It keeps people stuck. It convinces them to settle. It makes them look at the years ahead as a slow decline instead of an open road full of possibilities. If you've ever thought, I'm too old to start something new, I want you to challenge that belief. Where did it come from? Who told you that? Because history is full of people who ignored that rule and did extraordinary things. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. Ray Kroc was in his 50s when he built McDonald's. Colonel Sanders was in his 60s when KFC became a success. Julia Child published her first cookbook at 50. The list goes on. These people weren't concerned with how old they were. They were focused on what was still possible. And that's the difference. At 60, you have something younger people don't: wisdom, experience, perspective. You've seen what works and what doesn't. You know yourself in a way that a 20-year-old never could. You've built relationships, learned skills, overcome obstacles. You have a lifetime of lessons that can now be used to create something incredible. So why would you ever think you're too late? If anything, you're better prepared than ever. The only thing that holds people back is fear. Fear that it will take too long, fear that they won't be good enough, fear of what others will think. But let's break that down. Time is going to pass anyway. 5 years from now, you'll either have moved towards something new or you'll be in the exact same place wishing you had started. Wouldn't you rather be the person who went for it? And as for not being good enough, think about this. No one starts out as an expert. Every master was once a beginner. The only difference between the people who succeed and the people who don't is that the successful ones kept going. They didn't let the early struggles stop them. They learned, adjusted, and improved. You've done this before in different areas of your life, so why not now? And finally, the fear of what others will think. Here's the truth. People are not thinking about you nearly as much as you believe they are. They're too busy dealing with their own lives, their own fears, their own dreams left unpursued. And even if they do judge, so what? Their opinions don't change your reality. They don't live with the consequences of your decisions. You do. So why let them dictate your future? What if, instead of seeing your age as a limitation, you saw it as an advantage? What if you realized that this stage of your life is actually the most powerful? You don't have to prove anything anymore. You don't have to seek approval. You get to do things for you now. You get to create, to explore, to make an impact without worrying about the rules that never really mattered in the first place. There is no expiration date on your potential. The only thing stopping you is a belief that was never true to begin with. So the question is, what are you still holding back on? What have you told yourself is no longer possible? Because whatever that thing is, it's still waiting for you. The only thing you have to do is decide that it's not too late. For most of life, people chase things: money, status, cars, houses, expensive clothes. The idea is simple. The more you have, the happier you'll be. Society pushes this idea on us from a young age. Work hard, earn more, buy better things. And you'll feel successful. And for a while, it seems true. The first time you buy something expensive, it feels good. You finally get the house you always wanted, and for a moment, you feel accomplished. But after 60, something shifts. You start to see through the illusion. You realize that owning more things has never made anyone feel truly fulfilled. Think about it. How many times have you thought, once I get this, I'll be happy? Maybe it was a car, a promotion, a bigger paycheck. And sure, when you got it, you felt great, but how long did that feeling last? A week? A month? Then what happened? The excitement faded and you moved on to the next thing. That's because happiness that comes from material things is temporary. It's like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It never really satisfies you. It just makes you crave more. But what does bring real happiness? What actually lasts? If you ask anyone over 60 what matters most, they won't say it's the car they drove 20 years ago. They won't say it's the money they made or the designer clothes they owned. They'll tell you it's the experiences they had, the relationships they built, the moments they shared, because those are the things that actually mean something. Look at the people who are the happiest, not just for a moment, but in the long run. They aren't the ones with the biggest houses or the most expensive watches. They're the ones who invested in people, the ones who prioritized love, family, health, and purpose over material success. They're the ones who understand that money is just a tool, not a destination. And make no mistake, money is important. It gives you options, freedom, security. But money itself is not the goal. Money is meant to be used, not worshipped. It should be spent on things that bring true fulfillment, helping others, creating experiences, supporting the people you love. The mistake most people make is that they chase money as if it's the answer, but it's not. It's only valuable when you use it in ways that actually enrich your life. So ask yourself, what do you really value? If you lost all your possessions tomorrow, what would still matter? Who would still be there for you? What memories would you still hold on to? Those are the things that deserve your focus. Not the things you can buy, but the things you can experience. Not the things that fade, but the things that last. At the end of your life, you won't be thinking about the brands you wore or the cars you drove. You'll be thinking about the conversations that changed you, the people you loved, the moments when you felt truly alive. And if those are the things that will matter then, why not make them the priority now? Because real success isn't measured by what you own, it's measured by what you give, how you grow, and the impact you leave behind. And once you realize that, you stop chasing the things that don't matter and start focusing on the things that do. That's where true fulfillment begins. For most of life, we are taught that success is about achievement. It's about climbing the ladder, hitting the next milestone, getting the next promotion, making more money, winning more recognition. From a young age, we are programmed to believe that success is something we collect, titles, awards, possessions. The more we have, the more accomplished we feel. But after 60, something happens. You start to look back and you realize that all those achievements, while meaningful at the time, aren't what truly define you. Think about the biggest achievements of your life. Maybe you built a career, reached a financial goal, or accomplished something others admired. And yet, if achievement alone was the key to happiness, why do so many people who have it all still feel empty? Why do people who reach the top often feel lost? It's because achievement without fulfillment is meaningless. Success without purpose is hollow. At a certain point, you start to see that life is not about how much you achieve. It's about how much you experience, how much you contribute, and how much you grow. The happiest people aren't the ones who simply collected the most trophies. They're the ones who built meaningful relationships, who followed their passions, who gave back, who lived with a sense of purpose. This realization is powerful because it shifts the way you look at your life. Instead of asking, what else can I achieve? You start asking, what kind of life do I want to live? Instead of measuring yourself by accomplishments, you start measuring yourself by impact on your family, on your community, on the world. And when you do that, everything changes. You start valuing moments over milestones. You see that the best parts of life aren't the promotions, the pay raises, or the plaques on the wall. They're the conversations that stayed with you, the laughter shared with loved ones, the challenges that made you stronger. They're the quiet moments of gratitude, the experiences that made you feel alive, the times you truly connected with another person. You start prioritizing growth over goals. Achievements are great, but they are external. Growth is internal. It's about becoming wiser, kinder, more self-aware. It's about learning new things, stepping out of your comfort zone, and constantly evolving. True success isn't reaching one big goal. It's continually expanding who you are. And most importantly, you start focusing on contribution over competition. When you're young, success feels like a race. You compare yourself to others, trying to keep up, trying to prove yourself. But after 60, you realize that the real measure of a life well lived isn't how many people you competed with, it's how many people you helped. Did you lift others up? Did you share your wisdom? Did you leave the world a little better than you found it? This is what makes a life truly rich. Not just personal achievements, but the way you use those achievements to create meaning, the relationships you built, the people you mentored, the lessons you passed down, because long after the titles fade and the accomplishments become memories, the impact you made will still remain. So the real question is, what kind of legacy are you creating? Are you still chasing achievements, or are you creating a life that actually fulfills you? Because in the end, success isn't about what you collect. It's about what you give, how you grow, and the experiences that shape you. And once you understand that, you stop living for external validation and start living for what truly matters. For most of life, we believe we have control over our circumstances, our plans, even our future. We set goals, make decisions, and expect things to unfold in a logical way. And when we're young, that belief gives us confidence. We think if I just work hard enough, plan well enough, and do everything right, I'll get the outcomes I want. But after 60, you start to see the truth. Control is an illusion. Life doesn't follow a straight line. It doesn't care about your plans. It moves in unexpected ways, and no matter how careful you try to shape it, things will happen that you never saw coming. Maybe you had a career path that shifted in ways you didn't expect. Maybe you experienced a loss that changed your entire perspective. Maybe you spent decades chasing something only to realize that it wasn't what you truly wanted. At a certain point, you start to understand that the more you try to control life, the more resistance you create. The key isn't to fight against uncertainty, it's to learn how to flow with it. When you let go of the need to control everything, you gain something far more valuable: freedom. Freedom from stress, freedom from overanalyzing, freedom from the exhausting effort of trying to force life to fit into your plan. Instead of constantly trying to predict and manage every outcome, you learn to adapt. You learn to trust yourself, to respond instead of react, to move with life instead of against it. This is the difference between people who live with peace and those who live with frustration. The ones who suffer the most are the ones who resist change, who cling to the past, who try to control things they can't. But the ones who thrive, who truly live, are the ones who embrace uncertainty. They understand that life is unpredictable, and instead of fearing that, they find excitement in it. They know that every unexpected turn is an opportunity, every challenge is a lesson, and every loss is a doorway to something new. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals or working toward what you want. It means you stop forcing things. You stop measuring your success by whether life unfolds exactly as you planned. Instead, you measure it by how well you adapt, grow, and find meaning in whatever comes your way. Think about the happiest people you know. Are they the ones who micromanage every detail of their lives? Or are they the ones who trust in themselves in the process? The ones who don't panic when things go wrong, but